How does it feel to approach death 4 times and get a gift from beyond? In today's astounding narrative, Soviet survivor David Rivia reveals his mind-bending adventure. He met a mythological figure after his heart stopped 4 times. His life was changed by this gift, testing our existence. Join me, David Rivia, as we explore this journey's remarkable details. Subscribe for a thrilling look into the unbelievable. Welcome, David Rivia, a 2020 Soviet survivor. I got caught in the pandemic circus in New York City. Despite global viral scares, I wasn't frightened. Being in my mid-40s and healthy, I thought I'd be fine. However, I developed a week-long illness. One morning, I crashed out in front of my fridge and could barely breathe. Then I thought, uh-oh, this might be a problem. My body was too weak to crawl back to bed. Calls from family told me to get to the hospital. My breathing went from barely to non-existent quickly when I arrived. After receiving an oxygen tank, I realized I'd been holding my breath for a while. Wheelchair-bound into the hospital, thinking, okay, this is serious stuff. Tripped out for 5 days, seeing individuals in my room who weren't there. The ride was crazy. They then knocked me out. People were intubated everywhere. My sister reminded me that just 20% of people survived. However, I said, I'll be fine. I thought only the elderly died from this. Things changed the next day, and I was hooked up to an ECMO machine instead of being intubated. The ECMO machine, used for cardiac procedures, took over my heart and lungs while I was unconscious. I rode it for a month. My heart stopped 4 times in those early days, and I vividly recall those death stares. People ask how I remember, but those moments did. I woke up at a theater a month later to a mythical figure telling me I was on the brink and pointing to the escape. I was ready to retire. I had a fantastic life, work, and friends. I wasn't family-oriented. I was terrified of emptiness when death faced me. I reclaimed everything then. No way, I'm not letting go. I refuse to die. No, I'm not ready to die, please. The figure apologized, gave me a half moon, and said, "You're done. This is it." That ignited a fire in me that I can't forget, whether before or after death. I'll never forget saying, "No, I'm not dying. There's just no way I'm letting it go." The spirit said, "We'll let you live, but you must fight harder and longer than before. You'll accept and do everything since you're dead." I spent years or months at sea, fighting to survive and seeing vessels pass by. When you want to live, you do it. Like those stories of people stuck in the water for a day or two, but for a month. Man, I battled hard to survive. After the first week, things improved, but it wasn't evident until the 3rd or 4th week of this tumultuous voyage. I woke up remembering vivid dreams I didn't want to end. The real world appears strange and difficult in that dreamy state, when you're serene and linked to something bigger. I was at a dreamland library when a spirit asked, "You really want to go back to that place?" "Yeah, let's give it another shot." People came in crying when I woke up, hoping I survived. My survival was a semi-miracle in New York, where 1 in 200 died. I was completely changed by that unearthly encounter. Years later, I'm still trying to understand life. I've always feared dying, perhaps since I saw a planet destroyed in Star Wars. Since then, death has caused panic and an overwhelming desire to survive. Though I'm not afraid of death, knowing there's a spirit world changes my perspective. No more doubts. After the coma, I related my fear of death to waking up. I wasn't religious growing up. Something's wrong with your body. You can't move. You initially wobble, but eventually you regain control. When I felt that panic of falling, my therapist explained that it's not death, but your body screaming out about losing control. The terror evaporated when I realized that. Lived fearlessly for 3 years. I consider diverse theological beliefs on death, but you won't know until it happens. My only memory before my near miss was dread and terror. When I felt that panic while falling, I realized it's about losing control of memory, not death, and it's not as clear-cut as I believed. Always worrying about what should happen stresses me out. When I focus on shoulds, my brain flies into worry overload, and I lose myself. Magic happens when I take a deep breath, let go of shoulds, and focus on what I love. Near-death survival was a crazy gift. In my 20s and 30s, I wanted to be an acrobatic celebrity. After the coma, my memory changed, and I danced at international conventions after recovering. Got this crazy spirit offer, right? They give me a diamond and say, take this to the top of the world. The cherry. I must run over some people. I zoom to the bottom, pull the diamond up, and face this final choice. Tempted by glory, I commit without hesitation, only to be cut in half by the spirit, who then shows me a billion planets and realities to the left. The insanity of spending 25 to 30 years chasing happiness humbles me. That quest seems useless when I see what the spirit is showing me. Wake up clear, vowing to never pursue that path again. I've spent 25 years rejecting folks who didn't support my acrobatic goals. Despite achievement, I craved more. I return home to a parade and a different love after my near-death gig. Love doesn't require performance. People love me for me. Realizing my worth isn't based on my accomplishments changes my life. These 3 years feel different. The old life is over. Almost dying connects me to spirit and is the nicest thing ever. It changes my life by shaking off old beats. I wrote 18 books in 3 years, including one called COVID-19, in bed to capture 2020. I self-published as a social-emotional teacher. Almost death changes your priorities, guy. Connections, doing my dream art, and getting back are now my priorities. Though I still want to watch America's Got Talent, I now focus on making others happy. In the coma, I clean up my soul. Cry more in the months after waking up than my life. Grief persists after the intense crying stops. It appears when life is hard or hopeless because I tasted hope and connection. After crossing over, returning to reality is surreal. People are grateful I'm alive, but it's hard. Knowing the vast gap between the two worlds makes this brutal reality seem like a dream. The challenge is grieving and finding purpose in a disjointed society. Despite the challenges, I keep going because my near-death gig changed my life.